Hello! I'm Brian from M3 Movies, and instead of a podcast this week, I'm going to be following up with my video from earlier in the year where I talked about my top 10 movies of the first half of 2018. So now I'm going to go over my top 10 of the second half. So I'm not going to be talking about any movies that I saw in the first half of 2018. But my combined list, which includes movies from both the first and second half, is in comments as well as everything below that. So it's every movie I saw ranked. If you disagree with my picks or just have something to say, I'll be in the comments. I'm ready to defend my opinions. And without further ado, let's just jump right in and get started with honorable mentions. So my first honorable mention is Can You Ever Forgive Me? The movie had great performances from Melissa McCarthy and Richard E. Grant, and it was a well-told story. It just didn't really make me particularly invested enough to be higher on my list, and it didn't really have any standout scenes or moments that really elevated it above just a good movie. My second is Beautiful Boy. I don't remember the last time I saw a movie this reliant on performances. Both Timothée Chalamet and Steve Carell are absolutely brilliant, but the movie around them could certainly be better. And my third honorable mention is BlacKkKlansman. I saw this movie right after my halfway year list, and I remember seeing it and thinking, oh shoot, I really wish I could have put this on my list, but unfortunately for BlacKkKlansman, there were 10 movies, just barely 10 movies in the second half of the year that I liked more, so it didn't get to make either list, but it is a great movie nonetheless. And now for my top 10 of the second half of 2018. Number 10, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. I've never seen an animated movie quite like this. The style is entirely its own, and honestly the animation alone is enough to earn a spot on this list. But the movie is so much more than that. It's hilarious and heartfelt. I'm particularly fond of John Mulaney's Peter Porker, or Spider-Ham, and Miles Morales is a great lead with a phenomenal voice performance by Shameik Moore. Number 9, Green Book. I was lucky enough to see this movie early at the Middleburg Film Festival, and it, like many of the other films I saw there, blew me away. The chemistry between Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali is some of the best of the year, and so enjoyable to watch. The way the movie kept a lighthearted tone while also telling a very emotionally difficult story was something I really admired and really worked for the screenplay. Number 8, Capernaum. This is another movie that I got to see at the festival, and honestly, it was the surprise of the festival for me. There are scenes in this movie that I truly believe I will never forget, and I was emotionally invested scene after scene. The young actors in the film were particularly phenomenal, and the scale of the film, combined with how personal the story is, made for an experience that was both enjoyable and enriching. Number 7, If Beale Street Could Talk. Barry Jenkins is a master of his craft and really shows it here. The use of close-ups is unlike anything I've seen in movies before, and the actors that are put in that spotlight are all doing phenomenal work. The connection of this relatively classic story to the modern world is masterful and heart-wrenching, and it's a film experience I think we'll be seeing a lot of imitation of given the state of today's society. Number 6, The House that Jack Built. I always love movies that make me do a ton of research and thinking afterwards, and that's exactly what this movie did. That, and it's just a hell of a good time, at least if you're fucked up like me. The movie is as dark a comedy as they come, and an existential experience. The conversations that Jack has with Verge are just as entertaining to watch as the scene-to-scene interactions of Jack's murders, some of which are more entertaining, and some of which are more painstakingly difficult to watch. The ending is as brilliant as it is bizarre, and Matt Dillon gives the performance of a lifetime. Number 5, Cold War. This movie originally was left far off of this list, but I simply have not been able to stop thinking about it. It has moved up in my list probably 5 times now, and frankly I wouldn't be surprised if that continues. There is just something about this movie that urges me to go back and consider, as if the movie is still playing in my own head. The lead characters aren't likable. In fact, they're frankly assholes. But something about how they interact with each other makes you root for them. They're simultaneously perfect together and awful for each other, and even as someone who knows a fair amount about screenwriting, I have absolutely no idea how the screenwriters made me love them. I legitimately just don't understand it, but I do love it. Number 4, Burning. I really didn't know much about this movie going in, and I loved how even halfway through the movie I wasn't exactly sure of what genre I was watching. The movie starts out almost as a romance and slowly works its way into being a psychological thriller and ends as an experimental meta masterpiece. Steven Yeun is still my pick for Best Supporting Actor, even though there is no way in hell he'll be nominated at the Oscars, but that's expected. Anyways, this is easily one of the most fascinating movies I've seen this year, and one you should definitely check out. Number 3, Roma. I was also lucky enough to see this movie at Middleburg Film Festival, which was an absolute blessing because it is a movie that begs to be seen on the largest screen possible. It is insulting that Alfonso Cuarón is not already considered to be one of the greatest of all time, but I think with Roma, perhaps he will be. I do not know if I've ever seen a movie more personal than this. It is so clear that it comes directly from Cuarón's soul. The thought and care put into it is rarely matched, and the use of unknown actors is extremely respectable and successful. Number 2, A Star is Born. I will admit that I was not looking forward to this movie. I thought it looked like a copy-paste romance and overdone, but I have never been more wrong. A Star is Born is a romance and musical for generations to come. The music is original and fantastic, and I think I've listened to that soundtrack probably more than any other album since I saw this movie. Bradley Cooper is such an exciting prospect as a director, and he's never been this good as an actor, and Lady Gaga gives the debut performance of the century. Number 1, The Favorite. This is the third time in 5 years that Emma Stone has been in my best film of the year. First in 2014 with Birdman, and then in 2016 with La La Land. The Favorite is perhaps her best yet, not even mentioning the stand-up performance given by Olivia Colman or the other great supporting performance given by Rachel Weisz. If someone told me that Stanley Kubrick rose from the dead and directed this movie, it'd be difficult to dispute them. Yorgos Lanthimos moves beyond relying on his bizarre scripts, and is able to add his own unique flair to this Victorian comedy that doesn't let up for even a second. The score is the best of the year by far, and makes simple walking feel like a complex dance, and it keeps the action going. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen all year, one of the most thought-provoking I've seen all year, and I can say confidently is the best movie I've seen all year. And that concludes my top 10 of the second half of 2018. If you want to see how these movies stacked up against the ones from the first half, or see how that list has changed at all, and it has changed, be sure to see my complete list of all 57 narrative films I've seen this year, which is in the description. If you like this, please like and subscribe. Comment if you have any gripes with my list, or if you just want to say hi. Consider supporting us on Patreon. All of our donations go towards the channel and hopefully taking steps in larger directions. Once again, I'm Brian from M3 Movies. I hope you guys had a happy holiday season, and we love your stupid faces. Bye-bye.